You see, constantly working together, a sense that God does guide, will guide, but doesn't always guide at the level that takes our responsibility completely away unless it's a huge new move. I've experienced that twice in my life, only twice. One, to get me to go to Eastern Europe, and secondly, to get me to go to Russia, where God intervened in a very clear way. Shall I tell you one of the stories? Would you like one of the stories? Okay. I'll tell you about Russia. I was at a conference of mathematical cryptologists in Belgium. And it was a very interesting conference, but the man driving the bus to the station picked up a friend, lost his way, and we missed the train. And there were 50 angry mathematicians sitting on a platform in the evening in Belgium. And eventually the later train came on. It was getting dark, and I wasn't very pleased because I didn't want to wander around the station in Köln in Germany in the dark. So I got into this compartment and found in it 2 Russians, a Belgian and a German student. And I started to chat to the Russians and found that the man was an ecologist, and I was amazed. I said, "You're an ecologist. Did they allow this in Russia?" And he said, "Yes." And I said, "Are there other topics that used to be forbidden that you could now talk about?" Like what he said? Well, I said, like God, for example. And he said, "Yes, we can talk about these things." And in that moment, I had a very strong impulse, never had it before, to give him a Bible. You must give this guy a Bible. Well, he only spoke Russian, of course. And where do you find a Russian Bible in a Belgian train speeding at 200 kilometers an hour in the middle of the night? You must give him a Bible. I kept talking to him. You must give him a Bible. And it just became so insistent and so absurd. And I said, "Well, Lord," praying inside myself, "this is absurd." And then suddenly I remembered that 3 weeks before I'd been sitting in Germany in the house of a Christian publisher. On his desk he had a Russian Bible, and I said, "I'd like to have a look at that. It's beautiful print." He said, "Can you use it?" I said, "I'd love it, but don't you want it?" "No," he says, "no use to me. I can't read it." I put it in the suitcase, and as I was sitting in the train, I thought, did I take it out when I got home? And I stood up, put my hand in the suitcase, it was still there. I pulled it out, I handed it to the man, and he went white. And I thought he was going to be ill, he couldn't speak. And I said, "What's the matter?" And he didn't speak. And then suddenly he said, "How did you know?" I said, "How did you know what?" He said, "How did you know that the only Bible we've ever seen was stolen from us 6 weeks ago in Siberia? And we got this first opportunity in our lives to go to Europe, and in 6 hours we're leaving for Moscow by plane. How did you know?" And I looked at him straight in the eye and said, "Do you believe this book?" He said, "I'm not sure, but look over there." And his wife was sitting. I'll never forget her. I can see her now with her face beaming like the sun. And she took the book and she hugged it, and the tears poured down her face. She said, "Is that for me?" I said, "Of course it's for you." Now we're gone. At the next station, the German student looked at me and said, "Does that often happen to you?" And I said, "No," but she said, "That is absolutely, I mean, you can't expect these things." "Oh, I can," I said. She said, "Why?" Well, I said, these people have been systematically denied the scripture for 75 years. And God can use me as a postman as well as anybody else. She said, "If that's the case, I'd better start reading it." "Yes," I said, "you had," and she did, but that's another story. I got home, and I told Sally the story. And she said something she'd never said before and has never said since. She said, "You'd better cancel your engagements for the next while." I said, "Why?" She said, "You are going to Russia." I said, "Wait a minute." She said, "If you wanted to go to Russia, how would you go?" Well, I said, "There's a Royal Society and there's an exchange program with Russia and so on. Ring them up." I said, "Half a minute, just wait a minute. Ring them up." She doesn't usually act in this way. She does it with a beautiful smile. But it was one of those irresistible commands. So, very sheepishly and feeling a total idiot, I said to Sally, "But you have to fill in forms. It takes months. Ring them up." Okay? I rang them up. The conversation went like this. "Who are you?" "Well, Lennox of Cardiff." "Well, what's the issue?" "Well, how would one go to Russia?" "Are you interested in going to Russia?" I said, "Well, what's the deal?" "Well, the deal is complex at the moment because it's 1 week for 1 week. And no British person wants to go for more than a week. So the leading Russian mathematicians, we want them out, but we need people who will go for more than a week." And Sally said, "Give them 2 months." I said, "Are you sure?" She said, "Yes." So I told him, he said, "You can fly tomorrow if you want. No forms, no nothing." That's what got me to Siberia and opened a world that was undreamed of opportunity for the gospel that I could spend hours telling you about. I think that's this kind of thing in a humble and modest way. I just knew it was of God. And it catapulted me into a situation where I was able, with David Gooding largely, to write articles in the research newspaper for the Academy of Sciences, which were shown on every notice board in the former Soviet Union. It led to being able to write a 3-year-long series of articles in the Russian teacher's newspaper, which formed the basis for a book which I was delighted to hear from Lors Dahlia he uses in some of his satellite work in Africa, The Bible and Ethical Education for Schools. It led to so many things. But it doesn't happen every Tuesday. It happens occasionally because I had been traveling for 25 years to Eastern Europe. That stopped like that. And suddenly I'm precipitated to Russia. But Acts is more important, so let's get back to it.